and pretend that he just doesn't see. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Hello everybody, this is Fred Wanko again, coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Allen TV. Let me start out by saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on what part of the world you're in. Yesterday, Peter Obi was at Chatham House. I had the privilege of watching from Arise TV. And the question that I have for all Nigerians who are getting ready for this election is, now that Peter Obi is soaking in the endorsements from Obasanjo and Edwin Clark and T.Y. Danjuma and Pa Adebanjo and their likes, do we realize that all those endorsements don't mean anything if people don't come out in mass and vote on February 25th? Obasanjo and Edwin Clark and T.Y. Danjuma and Pa Adebanjo only carry one vote each. If all four of them vote for Peter Obi, it only results in 4 votes. The key to winning the election is that between now and February 25th, that everybody who is out there screaming and supporting Peter Obi do everything they can to make sure they elect Peter Obi. For the ones who have PVCs, they must go out and vote. For the ones who are not in Nigeria and don't have PVCs, they must do what they can to contribute in every way they can, including calling home and encouraging people. And for the ones who have been screaming obedient, and are qualified to vote and are not even registered and don't have any chance of picking up any PVC, I don't have much to say to you. I'll just like you to go look yourself in the mirror and wonder what the problem with Nigeria is. And as you wonder, take a good look at yourself. Maybe the problem starts with you. The next thing I want to ask you is, did you guys see the performance of Peter Obi at the Chatham House event yesterday? And if you did, are you still in doubt who the next president of Nigeria should be? I'm just curious. And if you're still in doubt who the president should be, I have a few questions. Could it be tribalism that's keeping you from supporting him? Could it be greed for your own selfish interests as opposed to the future of your children and unborn generations? Could it be envy? Is it simply jealousy? Could it be fear of investigation because of all the atrocities you and your cronies have committed in Nigeria over the last 40 years, and you're scared of the investigation that could follow? Could it be simply shame? Shame that you wrote him off and said he's not gonna be a factor in the election, and all of a sudden he's the front runner in the election? What could it be? And if you add all those things up, is it worth stopping progress that could make a major difference in the life of your unborn children, your future generations? Think about it. Think. And now, to the 2 main points I want to address. First of all, Igbos in Nigeria. Secondly, Yorubas in Nigeria. And I'll be addressing it from 2 different perspectives. In this election, Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Abubakar Atiku are not the biggest obstacles that Peter Obi has to overcome. Peter Obi's biggest obstacle are Igbos. And Peter Obi's biggest obstacles are not Chimaroke Namani and Orji Kalu and Rochas and Governor Soludo. Those are irrelevant Igbos that really don't count when it comes to Igbo discussions, where the discussions count. They can use their resources to buy their way into certain discussions in Igbo land. But when real Igbo discussions that matter count, those four people and cronies like them don't belong at the table. And I'm just telling you, watch their positions in Igbo land post February 25th, 2023. Peter Obi's problem is not those kind of Igbos. We know who they are. We know they are saboteurs. We know they are in the pockets of the cabal. Peter Obi's problem is the populace of Igbos all across Nigeria. Are we going to be humble enough to understand that the only way Peter Obi becomes president of Nigeria is that the rest of the progressives in Nigeria come out to vote for him? And if they come out and vote for him and he becomes president, are we humble enough with enough common sense to show gratitude to all the Nigerians that made it possible for Peter Obi to be president? Not because he's Igbo, but because he's a Nigerian who wants to work for Nigeria. And the only thing you get out of it as an Igbo person is that by coincidence, he happens to be Igbo. This election is not about Peter Obi, the Igbo man, and the Igbo presidency. Igbos have made mistakes in the past, and I mean major Igbo leaders who we respect. And they have uttered words that, even though it may be taken out of context, but out of context, it just wasn't something that the rest of the country took kindly. We're suffering a lot of things we're suffering in Nigeria because of those verbal things that were said that were never forgiven. But we also know that other tribes have leaders who have done similar. But other tribes are now running for president in this election in terms of who we want to vote for. It's an Igbo son that is running. And it's an Igbo son that has promised Nigeria reconciliation. And the only tone every Igbo person that supports Peter Obi should be using as they address the rest of Nigeria should be a conciliatory tone, a tone that makes the rest of Nigeria know that Igbos want to be part of collaboratively fixing Nigeria. Folks, let's not be the obstacles to the success of our son. Let's be humble collaborators that show the rest of the country that our son is willing to lead with humility, and our son's ultimate goal is to fix a country that is broken to benefit every Nigerian, not Igbo people. Now, I'll address the Yoruba side of things, but I'm glad I'm only addressing a minority of Yorubas, because I know that Yoruba progressives in this election have their hearts in the right place. But for the few who are still following the Emilokan politics. This is not about Emilokan. Nigeria ló kàn. Tó bá dẹ̀ ti kan Nigeria, ó ti kan gbogbo wa. Tí Nigeria bá ṣe dáadáa, gbogbo wa la máa ṣe dáadáa. Tí Nigeria bá sink, gbogbo wa la máa sink. Every Nigerian has the right to make a choice of who they want to vote for. But every parent and grandparent also have a moral obligation to do the right things to ensure that their children and grandchildren and future generations do not suffer for the decisions they make today. I've said it before and I'm saying it again. This election, more than the North, lies in the hands of progressive Southwesterners. And I strongly believe that progressive Southwesterners would deliver Nigeria to the right person and the right people, from local government to the presidency. And to the obedience, you must be cautious not to be distracted by naysayers. Too often in the last month or so, you've been hearing stories about Obi supporters don't have PVCs. I say this about that. The cutoff date for getting your PVC has been extended to almost the end of January. If you're registered, there's time to pick it up. So you could prove them wrong that what it is that Obi supporters, some have not picked up their PVCs, but between 4 weeks ago and 2 weeks from now, you're going to pick up those PVCs. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that naysaying logic is actually biased and prejudiced. That statement is made on the premise that Obedience are Southeasterners. It doesn't take into consideration that there are tons of Northerners that are not happy with what's going on in Nigeria who have their PVCs that are likely going to be voting for Peter Obi. It doesn't take into consideration that there are a lot of Southwestern progressives who have their PVCs who are going to be voting for Peter Obi. It also doesn't take into consideration the most significant jackpot, which is the population that had their PVCs since 1999, but have not voted since 2011, did not vote in 2015, did not vote in 2019, because they didn't see credible candidates that can change Nigeria. And that population has been following the election the last 6 months and have dusted out their PVCs, and they are ready to vote in this election. That's the missing link. Why am I saying that? The only way Peter Obi doesn't go to Asha, guys, is that we, the Obedience, and they, the candidates and their organizers, make a major mistake between now and election day. The Obi campaign must fine-tune everything they publicly say, everybody they pick to represent them, and every statement they make regarding what they are going to do for Nigerians, and be sure they are promising things that they can deliver when Nigerians put their faith in them. And the Obi-Datti supporters must make sure that they don't say things or do things that will create embarrassments and disruption for the campaign that they're working so hard to bring home on February 25th. This election is very winnable. If you haven't watched the Chatham House performance by Peter Obi, you need to go and find it wherever you can find it and watch it. And when you watch that performance, as a Yoruba man, as an Hausa man, as a Fulani man, as an Edo man, God bless Aisha Yesufu, as a TV man, as an Ishan, as an Ichekiri, as a TV man, Edoma, Ijo, Efik, Ibibio, whoever you are in Nigeria, you have to watch that and see that this man is going in there to work for me as whoever you are, all of us as individual Nigerians that are hungering for a Nigeria that is united, free, and fair to everybody. Folks, please don't only be ready to vote. Call everybody you know that has a PVC and make sure that they vote on February 25th. And finally, to all Nigerians, especially Igbos, Yorubas, and Hausa Fulani, Nnamdi Azikiwe died over 20 years ago. Chief Obafemi Awolowo died over 20 years ago. Ahmadu Bello died over 50 years ago. It's time to let bygones be bygones. Ahmadu Bello and Nnamdi Azikiwe and Awolowo gave Nigeria everything they could. Ahmadu Bello and Nnamdi Azikiwe and Chief Obafemi Awolowo are not perfect human beings. They made mistakes along the way. But the contributions they made to Nigeria outweighs any mistakes they may have made. It's time for bygones to be bygones. It's time to move our country forward as one united people who have learned from their mistakes. I truly believe that Nigerians are capable of learning from their mistakes and moving our country forward. Until next time, folks, this is Fred Wanko as usual, coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bull Talk on Island TV. Good night and God bless.
How many years must a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is